Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for staying with us. This is Smart 24 TV, where we drive your business. Now, remember to follow us on our social media platforms. On X, we are Smart 24 TV now. On YouTube, Smart 24 TV Live. And on Instagram as well, Smart 24 TV _ live. And also, get us those comments. Any feedback will be much appreciated. We are discussing the capital markets regulatory framework. And with me today is Miriam Ekirapa Musali, who is the Director of Legal and Board Affairs at the authority. And we've discussed quite a number of things in the first segment, including the fact that the Capital Markets Authority has 3 laws. Very simple. The CAP, or the Market Cap 65, the CIS, or Collective Investment Scheme CAP, and then the SCD Act. So very simple laws, but very, very detailed. So if you can get your hands on them, please make sure you get to understand and see how the entire framework works. But also, in case of anything you don't understand concerning the markets, please reach out to them. They'll be able to help you and guide you on who to deal with. Now, Miriam, when you look at the 2 things you guys have to do, I really put myself in your shoes and I feel pity for you, because you are the same people saying don't come into the market, and you're the same people saying please come into the market. So you have this face and then you have this face. I don't know how you do that. But how do you balance, from your office especially? I know you handle cases, you have to go to court, defend the authority, but also put people to the book, bring people to the book. How do you be able to balance these 2 demeanors of you?
Yeah, and Antonio, you raise a very good point, because when the Capital Markets Authority Act was put in place by Parliament, the Capital Markets Authority was given a mandate. That mandate was a dual mandate. Under the Capital Markets Law, the capital markets is supposed to develop capital markets. Yeah. It's actually a mandate. At the same time, protect the investors. Yeah. So as you regulate, you still have to make sure the market is actually growing and developing. Yeah. So what are we doing? We actually have a team of people that work in market development. This team of people are always looking at things like policies. You know, how can policies be made more attractive? Things like tax policy, for example. When we have capital markets products, is it possible for those tax policies to be favorable so that the market can grow? In the last, I think it was last year or early this year, we had the government give some incentives when it comes to private equity. And that is some of the initiatives that have come from the Capital Markets Authority to say if we actually want to see people putting money in private equity, we need tax incentives. So the CMA looks at the policies, advises the government. That's the one area that Capital Markets Authority is actually supposed to give advice to the minister on. Policy issues to develop capital markets. So we are doing that as best as we can. The other thing that we are doing is CMA is very open to innovative ideas that come from the market. Yeah. I was fortunate to be at the CMA at the time the framework for the collective investment schemes was put in place. We had a market intermediary. Unfortunately, they are no longer in the market, but they wanted to introduce collective investment schemes the way it had been done in South Africa. And so they approached the authority and they said, in South Africa, this is regulated. And we started walking that journey of putting in place a framework. So once there are innovative products out there, CMA is very interested, and we are facilitative in that regard to make sure that there's a framework for it and that it's operating in a regulated space, but at the same time making sure that if anyone is doing anything that is forbidden by law, as a watchdog, as a regulator, we come in to do enforcement.
Talking about policy, I heard very clearly from the CEO herself during the Investor Week that you're going to have a sandbox, and this is going to help people come in with their ideas that will help to grow the market. How is this going to play out as well?
Yeah. So the regulatory sandbox, first of all, we are fortunate that under the law we can have guidelines for regulatory sandbox. So we are going to have a regulatory sandbox. In Kenya, our counterparts at the Capital Markets Authority used guidelines to put in place this sandbox. And this sandbox enables people that are innovative, that have innovative ideas, to come within a regulated environment and live test. So they are able to bring their products to market. They have real customers like you and I, and these consumers are actually able to test those products and buy these products. But the regulator is also able to give them a more relaxed framework for them to be able to pilot these projects, for them to be able to run these projects, but also for us to work alongside the issuers to make sure that the risks are taken into consideration.
Yeah.
So we are looking forward. We believe that by the end of the next quarter, those guidelines will be in place, and maybe we'll be here talking about the guidelines for regulatory sandboxes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Talk about still promotion of the markets and market development in terms of foreign investors. How have you been able to entice them? And also, is it a good thing to have many foreign investors in our market?
I think, is it a good thing? Charity begins at home.
Okay.
Charity begins at home.
Sure.
You see, for any market, I always tell people, this is your market. You know, capital markets is the one area where you will benefit as Antonio. I will benefit as Miriam, because it helps you to create wealth. You're able to invest in different products, and once you invest in those products, you're able to create wealth. So when it comes to is it good for the market to have many foreign investors? I think we need to encourage as many local investors. The reason for that is because there's always a risk attached to certain economies. We are not, you know, we are not at the level of the US or the UK. So where you have foreign investors coming to your market, when you have issues like political instability, what happens? They dump.
Yeah.
Yeah, they dump.
And you see the markets dropping crazy.
Exactly. So
I saw that in Kenya during the election. The markets went crazy. They were flying back to US for more fixed incomes that were highly, you know, paying, and so I think it's not a good thing.
So we like them. They should. They
bring a lot of money,
they do bring a lot of money, but we want to encourage
local investors.
We want to encourage institutional investors. You know, put money in the capital markets. Do that. So one of the things that encourages investors in a market is, first of all, making sure that your market is transparent. Yes, your market is fair. There's settlement. You know, a foreign investor shouldn't send their money here and then they hear stories about shares not being transferred to their CDS account. So the laws, like I said, have gone through a number of amendments. We are actually now doing another assessment against the IASCO principles to make sure that the laws are aligned with international standards. So foreign investors want to know, are you competitive internationally? They also want to know, are the markets liquid? Okay. Now liquidity in this market is a problem.
That's
you know
right.
That.
I know.
Yeah, because our big institutional investors buy to hold. Yeah.
For long
so
term.
we need to have more institutional investors coming.
But now that's like contrary. It's cognitive dissonance. You're saying you want more institutional investors, but then if the more institutional investors we have, isn't it the more illiquid the market will become?
You see, if you have, for example, a number of pension funds that invest in the market, these pension funds can create some liquidity because there'll be stocks that they are taking up, there are stocks that they are selling. But right now, we all know that there's a particular... we won't say their name.
Please say it. Say it.
No. We won't say their name, but we know. That particular institutional investor, if that investor does not invest in your IPO, for example...
You're doomed.
You're doomed. If you issue a bond and they don't invest,
you're doomed.
Exactly. Now we need to have more institutional investors coming in, and
it will force them to be liquid.
There will be some liquidity. It will help, as well as the retail as well. So we want all types of investors. We want to mix.
How can we make the market more exciting, even for the retail investors? Because I see this on Wall Street and I'm like, okay, when are we going to get here? Can we like skip a few years and go there, and we don't go through the whole process that the New York Stock Exchange had to go through, like the 2008 crash, I think the 1980 something crash. Can we skip that part and also go to that exciting market where people go to Wall Street? You know, that is now Nakawa Business Park. and they're yearning to see that what's happening in the market. When can we get to that? Do you see us getting there?
You know, Rome was not built in a day. This business of skipping. Now I know your generation now. That wants to skip the 2008 crisis and things like that. So we want the markets to be deep. You know, we want them to be deep. We want them to deepen. How do you deepen markets? Of course, if you have more products on the exchanges, that depends markets. If you have interesting products like exchange traded funds on the market, it's going to deepen
derivatives.
The market, derivatives. So obviously working with issuers for them to see that there are opportunities to raise capital. If we have corporate bonds that are listed, you know, corporate bonds. So if we have more issuers
commercial
that
papers,
come in, commercial paper. So on the product side, variety. That really helps your market to deepen. On the demand side, we need people who actually come to the markets. Capital markets is a very interesting area because it's not like selling land. When you sell land, you see the land and you buy the land. Now you're telling people, you own a piece of MTN. And
you never see that.
Where is that? So it's not fungible, right? So getting people to see the mindset shift, the advantages in capital markets so that we have more investors coming in would also help the markets really to grow and to deepen and to become more exciting.
Talk about product diversification and also the deepening of the markets. I've always had an issue with our curriculum. Why is it that our kids or our brothers and sisters are still studying about the thorax and all those things, and they're not being trained on how to invest? Like even in the new curriculum review, I was very happy and I said, okay, finally I think opportunity has come. But still, there's still the old curriculum in the new curriculum. You have seen even the senior fours are doing exams, but still the old is there, the new is there. It's still confusing. But if the Capital Markets Authority, is there a way you can, for example, talk to the National Curriculum Development Center to see that we go back to primary 4, primary 3, and start teaching kids that this piggy bank, if you put money in here, you can buy some part of MTN, and can they play around in their groups and have it deeply rooted in them? Is that possible?
Yes,
do
we can. Yes, we can. And you see, that's why when you look at the mandate of the authority, we are just scratching the surface. There's so much that we can do in terms of curriculum development. When I was in Law Development Center, we did capital markets and it was for 1 week.
What?
1 week.
You studied in 1 week.
1 week capital markets. But you see, that's an initiative of the Law Development Center to help lawyers to appreciate this area. But if we had...
And I've seen so many lawyers coming up who are very savvy with capital markets and passionate by them.
Yes. And those are the people, by the way, who bring issuers on board. Because when your client comes and says, I want to borrow from a bank, and you know you can do a corporate bond, you're going to give them advice and say, okay, there's the bank and this is the kind of interest you have to pay. But there's also capital markets. So yes, we can. I think all those are initiatives. CMA does the secondary schools challenge. I think you've heard of the university challenge, the secondary schools challenge. All these are initiatives that were put in place by the CMA to try and drive all that information about investing in capital markets. We also do a lot with investment clubs. If you have an investment club and you'd like the CMA to come and talk to you about capital markets, investing in capital markets, diversifying from land and things like that, the CMA is able to do that. You just call us and talk to our communications PR and they'll be able to assist you. So yes, we can.
I'm dreaming of that day when our curriculum will be money, finance oriented, not just even the capital markets, but budgeting from the basic principles. Because how do you leave university and you can't even budget your first salary? I remember I spent my first salary, unfortunately, in a week's time. I am a chemical engineering graduate. I'm passionate about journalism, so I do this on the side. But when I graduated, I was lucky to get a job. And when I got a job, I had no idea. I saw 6 figures on my account. I'd never seen that before. And I didn't know what to do.
You went crazy.
I went crazy. And after 1 week, I was already calling my circle, the banker, because I had no money. And it's like, okay, this is real. You know, you can have all this money and you can spend it in a week. You know.
Now imagine if you had put it in a CIS.
Thank you.
Imagine if you had put it in a CIS and you were getting a return from that time you got a job.
I wasn't taught in school. For 4 years I was in campus. 6 years I was in high school. I had no idea whatsoever. All they told me was study hard in physics, do your chemistry, do your maths right, go do your engineering,
and then get a job.
And get a job. And they didn't tell me that after getting a job,
invest, So the task is big. And we are using every platform that we can to talk about capital markets and the opportunities that capital markets has for you and for me.
Amazing. Let's talk about regional integration, just real quick. How does Uganda's membership in the East African community impact capital markets? And what are the benefits that regional integration has brought to the capital markets?
CMA is a member of EASTRA. EASTRA is the East African Securities Regulatory Authorities. And a lot has happened under EASTRA.
Okay.
One of the things that I'm very proud of is harmonization of frameworks across the region. There was a technical working group years ago. I was the chairperson of this technical working group.
Okay.
We used to call ourselves the TWG.
Lovely. What was that?
Harmonization many years back.
What was TWG?
So, technical working group, short form, yeah. And the TWG was responsible for harmonization of laws when it comes to listing across the region. So actually, if you go to the ESC website, you'll see that the ESC has gazetted some of those directives. If I want to raise capital in more than one partner state, I can do it. I can actually do it. If I want to have a collective investment scheme and I want it to be regulated in more than one partner state, I can actually do it. Yeah. So we harmonized some of those frameworks. Right now, the EASTRA is working on a harmonized framework for ESG because ESG is, it's a new kid on the block. Yep. Everything has to be, environmentally correct, friendly and
sustainable,
socially sustainable,
and governed.
Everything. So we are working on a framework for ESG across the region. We are part of the East African Monetary Union. We are part of the task force regionally that is looking at that particular protocol to make sure there's a single currency, single central bank, and all those nice things. Single payment system, single CSD, single.
I wish these things come to life. Single.
No, they'll come to pass. They'll come to pass. Sure. I think that the commitment is there.
Single president.
Okay. No.
Let's leave that. Okay. Absolutely.
So CMA is very, very vested in the initiatives within the East African region, and we've seen how it's helping. We also have what we call supervisory colleges. We learn from each other in the region. If someone commits a crime here, they shouldn't think they're going to escape to Kenya without the CMA Kenya knowing about it. So we work, we collaborate to make sure our markets are secure.
And on the African setting, I have seen the African linkages, something.
Yes.
How is that going?
Yeah, so this is an initiative by the African Development Bank with ASEA. ASEA is the African Stock Exchanges Association. And so what they're doing is they want to link stock exchanges so that you can have access to stocks in Morocco. You can have, people will say, Ugandan stock we don't want. We want the ones in Morocco. So in
Mauritius.
Uganda, so you'd be able to get to invest through stockbrokers
a one-stop center.
Market. Yes. So it's an exciting initiative, and I think these are the things that actually make capital markets very interesting, and you're able to partake of what's happening in the continent.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, the dream is quite big.
Yes.
How about the budget?
The money.
The money. Please. Minister of Finance, the Budget Committee, CMA needs money. Okay, so let's talk about also the innovation and technology. Last week we extensively discussed financial inclusion. Interestingly, I was at the Women Investment Breakfast. Trust me, it was not easy to be there as a man. It was intimidating because there were so many women. It was scary, but we braved the audience and we tried to be there. But also, women have also come up. I mean, your CEO is a woman, you are a woman. I think CMA is women. When you talk about, no way. I looked at the group picture and I could see Terrace at the back there. There was like 2-3 men, but good. That's very good because women have been left behind in so many things. But also, talking about financial inclusion and technology, what aspects of innovation have you looked at to see that we include those that have been financially excluded, but also we innovate for the market?
Of course, last week we talked about AI. It was quite interesting.
Very interesting.
Quite interesting. And I think AI presents a very interesting opportunity, first for us as regulators, because decisions should be data-driven. We need to understand what's the demand out there. What are we actually giving these investors? What do Ugandan investors look for? What do foreign investors look for? All that information you can get through AI. So we are looking at AI and how we can utilize AI in terms of our regulatory landscape, in terms of the demand for regulation, and even in terms of our supervision. But we are also interested in seeing how the market is utilizing AI to come up with products that are customized for you, and meet your needs.
Yeah.
So we are really looking at AI as one area. We are also hoping that with the guidelines on the regulatory sandbox, we'll be able to take up some innovative products that come up. We've got people knocking on our door with regard to crypto assets, and saying
I was coming there.
You are coming. Okay, you come. We are ready.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but in regard to crypto assets, for example, and we're saying, you know what, we're going to put in place this regulatory sandbox, and we're going to, within this framework, allow some level of operation and see how it goes, because we cannot be behind innovation. Many times people say the regulators are behind the markets, but we are trying. We want to make sure that we are actually promoting and encouraging all types of innovation to move forward.
Wow, this conversation is getting more interesting as it's ending,
Really?
which is
Ending.
very unfortunate. But we are not yet there. We still have some few minutes.
Okay.
Now, talking about the opening up to AI, also AI can be a threat.
Yes.
I told you, remember, your role is to smile and also to frown at the same time. So how are you going to also ensure that, despite the fact that AI is here to help people, but so many people are utilizing it to actually promote, what we are actually protecting against investors against, which is the Ponzi schemes and so on. How are you going to do that?
I think that first we also have to learn. When innovation comes, we are all in class. The investor is in class, the regulator is in class. So we are all in class. And I think we had a very good class last week at the World Investor Week on AI. And for the first time, I learned that there are people who are AI trainers. I didn't know. I really didn't know.
You thought AI was everything. You just go there, it tells you whatever. It even tells you how to use it.
Yes, no, they're AI trainers. So we're going to start from there. Once we have gotten a good grip of things and a good understanding of things, then we'll see how can we then leverage. So fortunately, we have a whole department that looks at things like market development, the trends in capital markets, where things are going, fintech and things like that. And so they'll be able to guide management and the board to see how can we really leverage this to make our regulator a world-class regulator. And
talk about the digital crypto assets, cryptocurrency assets and digital currency. I always contend with CMA when it comes to this, because we don't regulate this. It's regulated nowhere. But there are certain aspects of the cryptocurrency, forex trading, that need or require regulation. And this is a huge market that has trillions of dollars on the world market. But many Ugandans have not been able to tap into it. I asked a question while we were at the World Investor Week to a Bank of Uganda official, the National Payment System Director. I remember very well. I don't know if you were still around at that time. That when are we going to peep into cryptocurrency and central bank digital currencies? Is that something CMA as well is looking at? Because this is a fact. People are making money off the market. People are losing money in this market, but it's still there, right? And people are engaging in it. Are there efforts as well in that direction?
Actually, there are efforts. There's a task force that was put in place. The task force has the Capital Markets Authority, the Central Bank, Financial Intelligence Authority as well, and maybe some other regulators as well. And this task force is supposed to look at the whole area of crypto assets, not just cryptocurrency, but crypto assets as well. And I think the approach
blockchain technology.
Blockchain and things like that. The approach is really to have a consolidated approach. Not to regulate just one aspect. Because CMA can come out and say, okay, that very small aspect that has to do with securities, I'll regulate. Then the central bank says, okay, the currency, I will regulate. And then a regulator says, now FIA comes in and says, now money laundering, I will regulate. So in some countries, I think Namibia has put in place a law on virtual assets, and they are regulating it, and they have an authority that's doing it, and they're looking at all the different aspects and things like that. I think that's the way for Uganda to go. But like I said, there's a task force in place. Let them do their work. Let them come up to government and give us their proposals, and let's sit down around the table and look. But I think the message from the capital markets is that we are not opposed to technology. We know the power of technology. We understand the power of technology, and we want to see how can we leverage technology and how can we actually use it to propel the financial markets forward.
Amazing. Finally, unfortunately, what would you say to the viewer out there concerning what Capital Markets Authority is doing and how they can be able to access your services. Many people always have inquiries, but they don't know where to go. They don't know if you are approachable. They're just learning that you actually can just walk into the office and ask a question or call or email. So what can they do in order to get more information and get access to you as CMA?
Okay. So to our viewers and to everyone who's watched this program, first of all, Capital Markets Authority is a government agency. We're here to serve you. We are Ugandans like you. We're here to serve the public. When you have any inquiry, we have a website, www.cmauganda.co.ug. Please go to our website. On the website, you'll be able to see our contacts. You're able to contact us. Our office is situated on the 8th floor of the Uganda Business Finance Center.
Facilitation. Yes, facilitation.
I think Finance Center sounds better.
Yeah.
Facilitation Center
Finance, yes.
at Kololo, Baskerville. It's where the Registrar of Companies sits, as well as Uganda Investment Authority. So we are on the 8th floor. The office is open. It is your office. I mean, we are paid from the consolidated fund. So you can come, get more information. And when someone approaches you with an investment idea and says it's related to capital markets, call us. We have, our lines are open, our website is open, walk into the office, get all the help you can. And if you want to know more about capital markets, you want us to talk to your staff, you want us to talk to your groups, different groups, please do contact us, because we also have an investor education program and we're able to serve you.
Amazing. Oh God, I'm having you again and again and again.
The conversation continues.
The conversation continues. Thank you so much, Ms. Miriam. Really an honor to have you. I don't know what we've been waiting for or what you've been waiting for, but this is exactly what we need.
It's the right time.
Exactly. It's the right time for action. So thank you once again for coming. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was Mrs. Miriam Musali Ekirapa, who is the Director, Legal and Board Affairs at the Capital Markets Authority. To catch the show, if you missed anything, go back to our YouTube channel. Remember, subscribe, like, share, and also go to our Twitter or X and get to comment and give us some feedback there. We'll be very, very grateful, and we'll share that feedback with the experts. Thank you once again. Have a lovely night. See you next time.